Cruz going down the court. Ball nearly stripped from Sarah Gwynn. Gwynn driving in, hits it out to Moothart. Moothart over to O'Neal. Megan O'Neal gives it to Anamekwe. Anamekwe back to Putnicki. And nothing doing there. Robbins takes the ball back down on the upper court. Hands it off to Milton. Milton doesn't drive it in. Back to Addie Putnam. Putnam loses the ball for a moment, but gets it to Robbins. Robbins shoots a pass to Milton in the paint, but Milton can't put it in. Sarah Gwynn, swarmed by Tigers, gets it to O'Neal, who then gets it to Moothart. Moothart over to Putnicki. Putnicki to Anamekwe, but the Roos aren't able to do anything with it, as wide open in front was Addie Putnam, who puts it in for the first points of the Tigers. The Roos feeling the full court press of the Trinity Tiger defense as they force a turnover, and Claire Hale, who had herself a day yesterday, leading the team in points with 18. And Hale again scores 2 again. The Roos able to inbound it. Going up the court. Moothart gets it to Anamekwe, who was then fouled. The foul on Putnam. Sarah Gwynn found O'Neal, but O'Neal couldn't quite make it from 3. It'll be Tiger ball on the foul. The foul on Anamekwe. Josie Napoli hands it off to Robbins. Robbins gets it back to Napoli near the top side of the court. Back to Robbins. Over to Milton, who drives in, but can't put it in. As the Roos find an open O'Neal. O'Neal can't get anything going, as that ball will be Tiger ball after the foul by O'Neal. Inbounded by the Tigers to Robbins. Maggie Robbins finds Ashlyn Milton. Milton to Hale. Hale to Milton. Milton, pull-up shot, can't make it. Tries to rebound her own shot, can't get it. Robbins to inbound here. Finds Milton. Milton over to Putnam. Putnam drives it in. Gets the pass to Napoli. Napoli now driving in. Does a spin move. Swarmed by a court of Kangaroos. And that was a great shot after the foul. And that foul was committed by Anamekwe. Robinson inbounded again. Finds Napoli. Napoli driving it in. Gives it over to Robbins. Robbins finds Hale. Claire Hale shoots it. Can't get it though. As the Roos, Putnicki. The pass bobbled by Moothart. And what a pass from Maggie Robbins to Addie Putnam. And Hale will be fouled. That was an excellent pass by Maggie Robbins. She has such great ball control. She's good at controlling the ball, and she's good at taking the ball away. Maggie Robbins is 4th in the nation in steals per game. And Hale able to get the second shot in. Number 23 for the Roos, Paulina Porter. Gets it into Sarah Gwynn. Gwynn surrounded by Tigers, who come up with the takeaway. Napoli looking around. Gets it to Milton. Milton gets it to Robbins. Robbins gets it back to Napoli, who takes the deep 3. Can't quite make it, though. It'll be Rue ball. They'll inbound it to Sarah Gwynn again, and Gwynn will be fouled by Hale. The Roos inbound attempt is intercepted by the Tigers. Hale, surrounded by a mob of Kangaroos, ends up as a jump ball, which will go to the Roos. The Roos inbound it over to Moothart. Moothart, shaky pass to Porter. Porter gets it up to Sarah Gwynn. Sarah Gwynn finds Brooklyn Matthews. Matthews gets it to Putnicki. Putnicki has the ball taken away from her. Milton gives it to Napoli. Napoli all the way up to Addie Putnam, and Putnam puts it in. And the Tigers are on an 11-0 run to start this game. And the Roos trying to put up their first points of the game, and they are able to, as Brooklyn Matthews puts it up and in. Maggie Robbins gets it over to Putnam. Putnam gets it to Napoli, who takes the shot. Can't make it from 3. Roos rebound, as Gwynn passes it all the way over to Putnicki. Putnicki got it to Porter. Porter over to Gwynn. Gwynn up to Moothart. Moothart to Brooklyn Matthews, and the pass is wide. They're able to prevent it from going into the backcourt. Moothart doesn't drive it in. Gwynn from 3. Can't make it. And we will take a timeout here, but I'll stick with you here on the Tiger Network. There is things at stake here for the Trinity Tigers. For Austin College, it's not much. They are mathematically eliminated from the SCAC conference tournament. They haven't won their first conference game, and they would need to win in too many games that they don't have on their schedule. But for the Tigers, a Tiger win here and a Colorado College loss tomorrow to the Southwestern Pirates would mean that they would clinch the 1 seed in the SCAC conference tournament. Colorado College lost yesterday to Texas Lutheran 54-48. A shocking loss for the team that beat the then #1 team in the nation, Trinity Tigers. The last time the Tigers weren't the 1 seed in the conference tournament was all the way back in 2015, where they were the 3 seed. Success is almost a constant here in San Antonio for this women's basketball team. They're #4 in the nation right now. They've only dropped 1 game up in Colorado. And right now, they have an 11-2 lead over the Austin Kangaroos. 4 minutes, 10 seconds left to play in this first quarter. Trinity in the bonus, so any foul committed by the Roos will send them to the charity stripe. Napoli coming down the court. Gets it over to Shipley, Maggie Shipley. All the way over to Putnam, who shoots it from 3 and is good from 3. Ruse able to inbound it. Get it to Sarah Gwynn. Gwynn is too tied up in Tigers. Napoli to inbound it. Gets it to Robbins, who hands it back to Napoli. Gets it to Maggie Shipley, who hands it off to Robbins. Robbins driving into the court. And gets it to Natalie Anderson, who puts it up and in. Ruse trying to inbound it here. The full court press taking effect. Napoli falling down. The Ruse driving up with Sarah Putnicki, but can't put it in. Maggie Shipley hands it to Napoli. Napoli passing it down to Maggie Robbins. Robbins up to Maggie Shipley. Shipley to Natalie Anderson. Back to Shipley. Shipley driving in. And it took a while, but that ball did go in. And the inbound pass finds Aru. Moothart hands it off, but they're going to call a travel on Sarah Gwynn. Emily Nelson checking in for the Tigers. Along with Sky O'Rourke. O'Rourke with the ball. Thinking about driving it in. Instead hands it over to Annika Saenz. Another new Tiger on the court. Shipley passes it back to O'Rourke. O'Rourke can't put it up. And back to Annika Saenz. Nothing doing for Saenz, though. Lauren Traylor will check in for the Ruse. Mariana Burt will also check in for the Ruse. Kaylee Lewis also checking in. Another foul for the Tigers. This one on Emily Nelson. He was able to inbound it to Mariana Burt. This foul's on Shipley, as now the Ruse are in the bonus as well. Ruse inbounded to Burt. Burt gives it up to Traylor. Traylor gets it to Lewis, who can put it in. Shipley saving that ball from going out. Handing it over to Natalie Anderson, who can't get it from 3. The Ruse going back up the court. Getting it to Porter. Porter over to Traylor. Traylor to Lewis from 3. Too sharp of an angle. Maggie Shipley thinks about driving it in. Instead hands it to Anderson. Anderson puts it in. Ruse inbounding it. Traylor having trouble. That ball is intercepted by the Tigers. Maggie Shipley hands it over to Saenz, who misses from 3. Ruse driving back up the court. Mariana Burt giving it over to Paulina Porter. Porter dishes it into Matthews. Matthews back to Porter. Porter to Lewis. And Kaylee Lewis can't put it up, and that pass ends up out of bounds. Shipley inbounds it to Emily Nelson. Nelson waiting for an opening. Hands it over to Annika Signs. Signs' pass is read like a book by Porter, who puts it up and in for the Roos. Emily Nelson and the Tigers see if they can put up another shot before this first quarter ends. O'Rourke tried to do so, but a foul by the Roos will send her to the charity stripe. That foul on Trailer. The first shot from O'Rourke. Nothing doing. Shot number 2 finds its way in the bucket. The Roos contending with that difficult press of the Trinity defense. And Burt trying to put it up before the buzzer. Just short. And that's the end of the first quarter here in San Antonio. The Trinity Tigers are up 21 against the Austin Kangaroos' 6. We will stick with you here on the Tiger Network as we talk about what happened last time. Well, last time when this game was played in Sherman on the Roos home court, the Tigers went into Sherman and cruised to a comfortable 79-60 point victory. Ashlyn Milton led the scoring for the Tigers. As the only player with double digits that game with 21, the scoring was spread all around the Tiger roster. And in that game, very special game, Ashlyn Milton broke the school's all-time three-pointers made record. She now stands alone in the record books for Trinity University in that category. Meanwhile, for the Roos, Sarah Putnicki led the team in scoring with 13 points in that game. Megan O'Neill and Brooklyn Matthews also broke double digits with 12 and 11 points respectively, and Brooklyn Matthews was 1 rebound away from a double-double. It was a game where the Roos just couldn't keep up. They were down too early to the Trinity Tigers, who were then number 2 at the time. The Tigers will inbound coming out of this break between quarters. The Roos are led by Coach Michelle Philander, and the Tigers are led by Coach Cameron Hill, both longtime coaches. Cameron Hill been coaching for 11 years, Philander 13. Milton shoots it over to Shipley. Shipley over to Putnam. Putnam to Robbins. Robbins back to Shipley. Maggie Shipley driving it in. Unable to put it in, but she will head to the charity stripe. And this is an Austin College team on a down year. 0-14 in the SCAC, 1-22 overall. Just a couple of years ago, they were ranked nationally and were making the national tournament. And Shipley gets the second shot in. As the Roos inbound pass, just not accurate enough. Napoli will inbound it for the Tigers. Over to Maggie Robbins. Robbins to Napoli. And Napoli hands it over to Milton. Milton up to Robbins. Robbins to Shipley. Shipley back to Milton. And Robbins at the top of the court dishes it in to Maggie Shipley. And Shipley can't put it in, but the Tigers almost rebounded, but they take it away. Milton with the takeaway there. Shipley from 3, can't make it. And they will say that the ball went off a Roo before going out of bounds. It will continue to be Tiger ball. Napoli gets it to Robbins. Robbins up to Addie Putnam. Putnam down to Napoli. Napoli spinning around. Dishes it to Milton, who puts it up and puts it in. The Roos looking to inbound. They do so. Megan O'Neill gets it over to Sarah Gwynn. Sarah Gwynn to Anna Mekwe. But Anna Mekwe's pass off the hands of Putnicki, out of bounds. The Tigers coming down the court. Maggie Robbins dishes it over to Milton, who shoots it immediately. Nothing doing there. Over to Shipley. Shipley hands it back to Napoli, who drives in and puts it in. And the Roos intercepted by Robbins, and Robbins easily puts that one in. The Roos pass it all the way down to Sarah Putnicki. Putnicki giving it over to O'Neill. O'Neill handing it off to Sarah Gwynn. Gwynn dishing it into Putnicki. Putnicki can't put it in. The Tiger defense just adding too much pressure to these young Austin College shooters. And that contested three is no good. The foul on Moodhart will make it Tiger ball. Maggie Robinson inbound. To Milton. Milton from three. Can't get it. Anna Mekwe handing it off to Gwynn. Gwynn over to Putnicki. Putnicki to Anna Mekwe. And the ball just spins out. But the Roos rebound it and can't put that one in. The Tigers take this one away. And Putnam hands it off to Robbins. Robbins gets the pass to Napoli. Napoli driving into the paint. And the foul is on O'Neill. As Claire Hale will come in for Milton. Napoli dropping the ball. Picking it back up, though. Napoli over to Shipley. Shipley all the way back to Napoli. Napoli driving in. And an and one on the way. And this Tiger offense is very dangerous. Ashlyn Milton is fourth in the nation in three-point percentage at 45.2%. And in the SCAC, Claire Hale, Addie Putnam, Maggie Robbins, Ashlyn Milton, and Maggie Shipley are numbers 2 through 6 in the conference when it comes to field goal percentage. As Napoli gets the and one. And it's on full display here. 31-6 lead for the Tigers. As the Roos try to get the offense out of the mud. Moodhart over to Gwynn. Gwynn over to O'Neill, and O'Neill can't put it in. Anna Mekwe keeps the ball alive. And that ball will be in possession of the Roos after it goes off a Tiger. Sarah Gwynn for the Roos gives it to Anna Mekwe. And that ball's almost picked off by the Tigers. Anna Mekwe puts it up. Can't put it in, though. Addie Putnam over to Robbins. Over to Shipley. Shipley drives it in, but shoots it out to Napoli, who can't put it in from three. Claire Hale gets it back to Maggie Shipley. Shipley going in. And is fouled as she drives in. And Anna Mekwe getting her third personal foul. Shipley will step up to the charity stripe for 2 shots. And it is surprising that this is a Ruse squad that hasn't won a game yet. They've lost 4 conference games by 6 points or less. The last time they played Southwestern, they only lost by 1. The only time the Ruse have been in the win column this season was January 10th when they pummeled Howard Payne 62-33. So this is a Rue offense capable of scoring a lot of points. As they drive it down the court, Kaylee Lewis gets it over to Porter, shoots it over to Burt. And Mariana Burt back up to Paulina Porter. Gets it to Kaylee Lewis. Jutting it out to Mariana Burt, who drives in and puts it up and puts it in. Maggie Robbins taking it down for the Tigers. Hands it off to Shipley. Getting it to Emily Nelson. Nelson back to Napoli. Napoli driving it in. Shoots it out to Robbins, who sinks it from 3. The foul on Napoli. Ruse will inbound again. They drive down the court. Lauren Traylor. And that ball is picked off by the Tigers. And they are fouled by the Ruse. The Tigers are going to be taking 3-point shots for every foul that the Ruse commit. Immediate timeout here in San Antonio. Tigers lead 35-8. We'll stick with you here on the Tiger Network. I was able to talk to Coach Michelle Feilander of Austin College, and I asked her about Sarah Putnicki, who had a great game against Centenary. Centenary, one of the 2 teams that Austin College lost to last week, along with St. Thomas. And I asked her what makes her so special as a player, and she told me that Putnicki has great work ethic, is consistently in the gym, consistently doing extra work, and she's really started to figure things out these past 4 weeks. And she says you can see the development into an upperclassman. And Coach Feilander has coached some very successful Austin College teams. And for Austin College yesterday, they couldn't keep up with Schreiner and Kerrville as they dropped another close game, 61-52 up there, just up by 10. Putnicki led the team in scoring in that game with 14 points and was 1 rebound away from a double-double. And here against the Tigers, they are down 35-8. Almost looks like a football score. But we come back from this timeout with Emily Nelson sinking her first free point. Nelson again, puts it in again. The Ruse looking for someone to inbound it to. They get it to Porter. Porter gets it to Lewis. Lewis up the middle of the court to Burt. And Burt gives it back to Lewis. Traylor drives it in and shoots it back out to Burt, who gives it to Porter. Kaylee Lewis can't put it in. Robbins hands it off to Emily Nelson. Nelson looking around, gives it all the way up there to Claire Hale, who hands it off to Maggie Shipley. Shipley driving in. Can't put it in, but a foul will put Shipley at the charity stripe. Annika Science and Natalie Anderson checking in for the Tigers, replacing Maggie Robbins and Josie Napoli. The first shot, no good for Shipley. And the second shot, no good for Shipley. The Roos looking for a chance to score here. They get it over to Trailer. Trailer over to Porter. Porter back to Trailer. Lauren Trailer going in. Gets it to Matthews. Matthews is fouled. This one on Annika Signs. Brooklyn Matthews. We'll see if she can add 1 or 2 points to the board. She adds 1. And the ball loose. The officials will call it jump ball. And it will maintain possession for the Roos. And the Roos passing the ball around. This is Porter, who hands it off to Lewis. Who has the ball taken away from her by Signs. Maggie Shipley looking around, gives it to Signs. Signs down to Nelson. Dishes it into Shipley, who gets it to Hale. Air ball for Hale, though. The Roos driving it up. And Burt bobbles the ball a little bit, but gets it back. And Trailer looking for an opening. Gives it to Porter. Going into Lewis. And Lewis adds 2 to the board for Austin College. Shipley taking no time to put up a shot. That one's off the backboard. Austin College. Trailer's 3. No good. And the Tigers, full court pass essentially to Shipley. Shipley can't put it in. Rebounds her own shot. She can't put that one in either. Burt over to Porter, who gives it back to Mariana Burt. Trailer into Matthews, and Matthews scores another 2. And the Tigers looking to end a scoring drought that's lasted about 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Maggie Shipley quenches the drought with a very nice 3. And Austin College, big pass all the way to Burt. And Burt swarmed by Emily Nelson. And they dish it in to Matthews, but Matthews can't put it in. Hale over to Shipley. And Shipley driving it in and putting it in. And the Roos driving the ball up the middle of the court is Lewis. Trailer's pull-up shot, no good. Shipley all the way over to Natalie Anderson. Hands it to Shipley and puts it in. Add 2 more to the board for Shipley, who's really caught on fire in the dwindling minutes of this first half. Tigers take it away. Maggie Shipley gives it to Emily Nelson. Nelson over to Signs. Signs puts it up from 3 and puts it in from 3. And we'll see what the Roos do with the ball here. About 30 seconds left on the clock. And the Tigers take it away. That's Shipley again. Shipley puts it in easily. This Tiger defense never rests. It doesn't matter how much they're up by, what point in the game they are. They are always working overtime. They are on a 12-0 run. And that is the end of the first half here in San Antonio. The Trinity Tigers take a commanding 36-point lead over Austin College, 49-13. We'll take a break here on Tiger Network. 15 minutes for halftime. I'll be sure to come back just before halftime ends as we take a break here on the Tiger Network. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tiger Network. We're about to end halftime here in San Antonio. The Tigers with a 49-13 lead over the Austin College Kangaroos. Some stats from the first half. Maggie Shipley for the Tigers leading in points, 13. Addie Putnam leading in rebounds for the Tigers with 5. And for Austin College, with their 13 points scored, their leading scorer is Matthews with 5. It's been a tough outing offensively for Austin College, just having not found a way to deal with a stiff Tiger defense. These same starting 5 are out on the court for the Tigers, but in case you don't remember them. Josie Napoli, Maggie Robbins, Addie Putnam, Claire Hale, and Ashlyn Milton all out on the court to begin this second half. Josie Napoli will be the one to inbound it for the Tigers. And for the Roos, out on the court, you see on your screen Sarah Putnicki, Paulina Porter, Sarah Gwynn, Mariana Burt, and Grace Moothart. So some changes between halves for the Roos. But we get underway here. Robbins passes it down to Napoli, who drives it in and is swarmed by a mob of Roos. Gets the ball stripped away from her by Mariana Burt. And the Roos get it over to Porter. And the Roos pass it around the three-point arc. Ultimately, the ball is going to end up in Sarah Gwynn's hands. 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Porter gets it to Burt. Burt drives in. Can't put it in. But Burt will be able to go to the charity stripe. And try to cut into this enormous Tiger lead. No good on the first shot. The second shot for Burt. Rattles in. Robbins inbounds it to Hale. Hale back to Robbins. Robbins gives it up to Milton. Milton back to Robbins. Robbins driving in. Pass to Hale. All by herself. Can't make the three. Sarah Gwynn on the foul. Robbins to inbound it for the Tigers. All the way back to Hale at the top of the arc. It goes back down to Robbins. And Maggie Robbins over to Putnam. Putnam back up top to Robbins, who dishes it into Hale. And Robbins drains it from the center of the three-point arc. And the Tiger defense claims another victim. Claire Hale not able to put it up. But she was fouled. Porter on that foul. And Hale sinks the first shot. If Hale makes this next shot, the Tiger lead will have swelled to 40 points. Not quite, though. Big pass from the Roos. Putnam tried to get up to get it, but did not touch it as it went out of bounds. Milton up the middle of the court. Hands it up to Robbins. Robbins driving in. Deciding against it, though. Gets it over to a stumbling Putnam. And Putnam's pass into the mob of Roos. And a pass that was tipped stays with the Roos. As Burt hands it over to Porter. Porter tried to dish it in, but nothing doing for the Roos there. It'll be Tiger ball. Sarah Putnicki tagged with that foul. And Napoli inbounds it to Robbins. Robbins having to deal with Mariana Burt. And the pass to Napoli right through her hands, but Napoli is able to get it back. Gives it to Putnam, back down to Napoli. Josie Napoli around the three-point arc. And hands it over to Putnam, who's just a bit too inaccurate on that three-pointer. The Roos swarmed by Tigers, but they find a way through. As Moothart's shot, no good. Milton coming up the court. Hands it off to Robbins. And Robbins all the way back to Milton. From one end of the court to the other. Napoli down to Putnam. Addie Putnam trying to spin in. She does, and she puts it in. And this court press claims another victim. And Robbins, too strong on that one. But she puts that one in. As this Tiger defense is absolutely relentless. Burt swarmed by Tigers once again.
King in for Trinity.
Elaine King checking in for Ashlyn Milton for the Tigers.
Josie Napoli, her second. Team foul number 2.
And the inbound pass is intercepted by Robbins, who tries to pass it. So I think that was supposed to go to Hale, but it's picked off by the Roos. Putnicki can't put it in. Robbins driving it in. Gets it over to Putnam, and Putnam drains it from 3. And the Roos trying to get something going on offense. The Roos currently in a scoring drought that has lasted about 3.5 minutes. They've turned the ball over 5 times in the same amount of time, as the Tigers are on an 11-0 run. And Lauren Traylor will be the Roo to inbound it. I believe the officials were talking about the shot clock there, wanting to make sure it was the right time. Mariana Burt dishes it to Porter, who goes down. But then the ball goes back up the arc. Sammy Guffey, a new face on the court for the Roos. And they're going to say a kickball violation on the Tigers. That'll keep it Roo ball. And Traylor Got it to Burt, who drove in but couldn't put it in. Bit of a collision between Ruse there. They're laughing it off, though. The foul on Hale. Burt will get a trip to the charity stripe. One for two today. Sinks that one. The second shot for Burt. Absolutely perfect. Bailey Timmons checking in for the Tigers, along with Maggie Shipley. Josie Napoli hands it over to King. King back up top to Timmons, who hands it off to Napoli. Napoli driving in. And Napoli weaves her way through the mob of Kangaroos to get another bucket for herself. And the Roos moving in earnest. And Traylor thought about taking a shot, decided against it. Goes all the way to Porter, who fumbles the ball. And they're going to say Porter traveled with it. Media timeout here in San Antonio. The Tigers are up a whopping 62-16 over Austin College. I talked to Coach Hill, and I asked him what his expectations going into this game were, and he told me that there's no way to predict what version of the Roos will show up. He says it's surprising that they haven't won a conference game this year, but he also said that they have the benefit, because this is the second game of the weekend, of watching the Roos' first game and addressing anything that may be problematic in this game the day before. They've certainly done that, as they stymied the Roos to only 16 points. The Trinity defense has been absolutely relentless today. And for a young team like the Roos, who have a lot of freshmen and sophomores, it can seem a bit overwhelming. A lot of their starters that they put out on the court today were underclassmen. But for the Roos, they've been keeping their heads up and they've been moving along through the season. Coach Feilander said it best. You can't just quit. You got to go out there and play your hardest. As we step out of this timeout, Maggie Shipley will hand it over to Sines. He gave it to King, and King put it in. And the Roos trying to get it down the court. Ball's tipped, but nothing bad comes of it. Lauren Traylor puts it back up. Finds the way into the hands of Kaylee Lewis. Gives it back to Sammy Guffey. Guffey, nothing doing there. The Tigers just let the ball go out of bounds. Shipley going up the court, trying to drive it in to King. Bailey Timmons scores two in the paint. The Roos storming up the court. Sammy Guffey can't get it to Kaylee Lewis. It's picked off by the Tigers' Bailey Timmons. Annika Sines dishes it to King in the paint. And King will be fouled. The Tiger lead now 50 points.
Foul on 0, Katie Lewis, her second. Team foul number 4, 22 shots for Elaine King.
First shot for King, too strong. But the second shot finds its way home. Burt over to Porter. Porter, big pass down to Guffey. Guffey, what an excellent series by the Roos there. But they are able to cap that off with points. Shipley over to Timmons. Timmons trying to drive in. As the Tigers are fouled. That fell on Guffey. Tigers taking shots after every foul. The first one from Timmons. Smooth as butter. But her second shot just a bit too strong. Tigers are able to rebound it. Timmons. Her pass blocked and hit out. But came off a Roo. So the Tigers will retain possession. And there is an official's timeout. I believe they are going to look at who touched the ball last before it went out of bounds. Later today, the men's teams will play each other after about a 30-minute break between the end of this game and the start of that game. That game is sure to be interesting. Make sure to stay tuned for that one. All, of course, here on the Tiger Network. The SCAC tournament for men's and women's basketball will also be here on the Tiger Network. And the officials have confirmed that the Tigers will inbound. They get it to Shipley. Shipley back to Nelson. Nelson up to Annika Sines. Annika Sines. The ball moves down the three-point arc. Over to Shipley. Shipley. Wow. What a shot from Shipley. And that inbound pass goes wide. An impressive shot from Shipley there. Just beating the shot clock. Shipley gets the ball again. Shipley driving it in. And Shipley putting it in with an and one on the way. Shipley is having herself a game. Can't make good on the and one. LaRue's driving back up the court. Lauren Traylor down to Mariana Burt. Burt to Guffey. Guffey can't make the three. Burt backs away. Hands it off to Porter. Gives it up to Traylor. Traylor back to Porter. Porter all the way down to Sammy Guffey. Guffey hands it off to Burt. And Porter's pass just a bit too strong. Short on time there. Shipley directing traffic. Shipley gives it to Annika Sines. Sines from three. Can't quite make it. A foul on King. Gives the Roos the ball. And despite being swarmed by Tigers, the Roos drive it up the court. And a wide open three is, of course, going to be good from Sammy Guffey. Guffey just letting the Tiger defender run straight on by her. And they're going to say that was 2 points. The Tigers able to put that one in. And the ball fumbled, but touched by a Tiger defender. Kaylee Lewis inbounding it for the Roos. Mariana Burt. 10 seconds left in the third quarter. Gives it back to Lewis. They try to dish it into the paint. All the way. And the shot from Guffey is no good. That is the end of the third quarter here in San Antonio. The Trinity Tigers 75, the Austin College Kangaroos 20. Another dominant quarter for the Trinity Tigers, as Maggie Shipley with 18 points on the game. Addie Putnam with 6 assists. And Josie Napoli with, Addie Putnam with 6 rebounds. Josie Napoli with 4 assists. My apologies there. And these Tigers have been putting on a show here in Calgard. And for the Roos, we'll see if the offense can find its stride here in the fourth. But unfortunately for them, it seems that the Tigers have iced this game long ago. The Tigers 25 points away from the century mark. Another dominant game for the number 4 ranked team in the country. They were not happy with themselves after losing to Colorado College up in Colorado Springs, and they have taken out their frustrations on the unsuspecting squads of the Dallas Crusaders and the Austin College Kangaroos. Dropping 109 on the crew yesterday and scoring at least 75 today. The Roos will inbound it here. Grace Moothart hands it off to Sarah Gwynn. Anamekwe tried to dish it in to Putnicki. The foul on Robbins. Quick inbounds for the Roos. Anamekwe. And the pass from Moothart contended with by the Tigers. Foul on Shipley. And the Roos able to get it back in. And wow, Megan O'Neill from downtown sinks a 3 for Austin College. Maggie Robbins up to Milton. Milton and Robbins trading it with each other. Shipley gets the handoff from Robbins to the top of the court. Milton tried to drive it in, gave it to Napoli. Back to Robbins in the paint. Robbins back to Napoli. 2 seconds on the shot clock. 1. Shot clock violation for the Tigers. Taking a little bit too much time to put that one up. Sarah Gwynn. Dishes it to Putnicki. Sarah Putnicki doesn't get to do anything with it before a foul comes in.
Number 30, Ashley Milton. That is her first.
The foul is on Ashley Milton. And Putnicki can't put it in on the inbounds. Anamekwe gets it to O'Neill, who puts it in. Robbins to Shipley. Shipley up to Milton. Down to Shipley. Shipley trying to drive it in. Over to Robbins. Wide open. Can't make good use of it, though. On a Meckway. Trying to get off under the rim. Moothart giving it to Gwynn. Gwynn dishing it into Putnicki. Putnicki can't put it in. Maggie Robbins directing traffic a little bit. Directs it to her liking, but can't put it in. Jump ball means Tiger possession. Robbins down to Putnam. Putnam passes it to her left to Shipley. Shipley all the way up the court to Maggie Robbins. Robbins driving it in. Hands it to Putnam. Very contested pass. Robbins over to Milton. Milton puts it up on a contested three. Another shot clock violation for the Tigers. And the Tigers have not scored at all in this fourth quarter yet. The Ruse. Sarah Gwynn passes it down to Moothart. Moothart over to Gwynn. Gwynn driving it in. Can't put it in, though. Napoli running it down the court, running it up the middle. And is fouled trying to get it out to Maggie Shipley.
Foul number 35, Naomi
Anamekwe is tagged with the foul. Milton takes the shot immediately and drains it immediately. Goodbye drought. As she sinks the Tigers' first points of this fourth quarter. Anamekwe in the paint, bobbles the ball a little bit. Scramble for the ball. Natalie Anderson coming in relief for Ashley Milton. Napoli to Robbins.
House number 35, Naomi Anamekwe, her fifth, team foul number 2.
Fifth personal foul for Anamekwe. As she heads off the court. Robbins up top to Natalie Anderson. Anderson can't put it in from three. Keeps it inbound, though. Napoli over to Robbins. Maggie Shipley driving it in. Into Robbins. Back out to Anderson. Anderson back to Robbins. But the ball will be put back into repossession. As the Ruse trying to make good use of the remaining 6 minutes. And the three attempt by Moothart, no good. Napoli down to Putnam. Putnam to the right to Robbins. Jump pass to Maggie Shipley. Shipley bobbles the ball a little bit, gets it back. Gets it to Anderson. Anderson just completely airballs it there.
Foul number 4, Reese Prunard, that is her second. That is team foul number 3.
And Robbins gets it over to Shipley. Shipley over to Robbins. And Napoli's pass to Putnam was dropped, but the Tigers got it back. Napoli wide open. Can't put it in. Anderson to Shipley. Shipley drives it into the paint. And both offenses have gone completely frigid here in this fourth quarter. Trinity has only scored 3 points. Austin College hasn't been doing much better. And Shipley's 3 attempt is no good. Shipley has the only points for the Tigers in this fourth quarter. Matty Moeller in for the Tigers. The Roos inbound it. And the jump shot from Putnicki near the elbow isn't good, but she is fouled. Foul on Anderson there. Putnicki puts the first point in. That ends a nearly 4-minute Austin College drought. Maggie Shipley up the side of the court. Gets it down to Putnam. Putnam spinning around. Spins it back to Shipley. Shipley moving up and down the court. Gets it to Putnam again. Into Shipley in the paint. Contested pass taken away by the Roos. And the Roos are able to get out of a stiff Tiger defense. And the open 3 is drained by Megan O'Neill. Maggie Shipley directing traffic. Motions for Anderson to come down and take the ball. The ball ends up to Robbins near the top of your screen. Drives it in. Back down to Shipley. Shipley tries to put it up. Nothing doing, though. Media timeout here in San Antonio and Calguard Gym. Should be our last one. We'll stick with you here on the Tiger Network. I asked what Coach Filander's biggest challenges were in that last game in Sherman where they played the Tigers. And she said that it's a young, inexperienced team. And when you have an experience, you are limited in what you can do. We don't have the luxury of having many upperclassmen who kind of have the innate ability to know where to put the ball. The team is going to have growing pains in these first years, and that's just what comes with having a young team. And the biggest lesson that Philander has learned this season was that the job, it's circumstantial. We don't always control our circumstances, and we can't attach our worth to the outcome. And that's been a big exercise for her. She says she's learned to see the bigger picture and redefining the success for the Roos. She says, I realize when you look at it from an outsider perspective, we're 1-22, you may think we have a lot to be upset about. But when she sees the strides that this team has made this year, that we have a lot more things to be happy about than you might think. We step out of the timeout. Matty Moeller inbounds it. Easy points for Sky O'Rourke. Austin College driving it down. Midhart's pass to O'Neill. hit by Sky O'Rourke. The Roos will inbound it. Natalie Anderson coming out of the game for Bailey Timmons. Timmons will go up against Moodhart. Moodhart puts it down to Megan O'Neill, who nearly sinks another three. And Megan O'Neill has been hitting her threes today, as that one is tipped in for Elaine King. O'Neill ranks 28th in the entire country in three-pointers made and 34th in 3 points attempted, as O'Neill puts that one in. The Tigers looking to extend their lead. O'Rourke up to Timmons. Timmons handing it to King. Back to Muller. Back to Timmons. Timmons driving in. Passes it from the top of the key over to... But the ball is lost to the Roos, as Gwynn does it herself and puts it in. Two minutes, 20 seconds left on the clock. Sky O'Rourke hands it up to Tierney. Jennifer Tierney, new face in for the Tigers. Bailey Timmons. A big pass from Timmons as she's going out of bounds to Maddie Muller. Pass is too wide, though. Ends up in the Tiger bench. Paulina Porter to inbound it. Handed off to Guffey. Handed back to her. Gwynn gets it to Guffey. Guffey ends up in the hands of Sarah Putnicki, who scores it near the elbow. And Sky O'Rourke will drive it in. Scores it in the paint. Offenses coming alive here in the last couple minutes of play. Austin College hopping back up the court. And a foul by the Tigers will send Sarah Gwynn to the charity stripe.
Team foul number 5. 2 shots for Sarah Gwynn.
First shot by Gwynn. Nothing doing there. As Avery Ragu and Catherine Akers on standby for the Roos. They will come in. Checking in for Sarah Gwynn and Sarah Putnicki. Timmons will inbound it to Muller. Muller hands it up to Sky O'Rourke. O'Rourke looking for an opening. Heads over to Muller, who dishes it to King into the paint to O'Rourke. O'Rourke trying to do some fancy pass work. Ultimately, that mad scramble for the ball will end up as a foul on the Trinity Tigers. And it will send Mariana Burt to the charity stripe once again. Burt, 3 for 4. Make that 4 for 5. Burt sinks both. As the Tigers inbound. Not taking their foot off the gas. They look for another opportunity to score, but the pass is read by Paulina Porter, who's able to put it in. Tigers inbounded quickly. And O'Rourke up to Timmons. Timmons deep three. Air ball though. And Austin College brings the ball back up the court. Is now in the hands of Burt. Mariana Burt looking for any opening. Avery Ragu back to Burt. Burt dishes it back out to Porter. Porter drives in, can't put it in though. No more shot clock as a very tough pass kept in bounds. Jump ball. And the jump ball will go to the Roos. 5 seconds left on the clock. They inbound. And the Roos let the clock run out. Our final score here in San Antonio, 84 for the Trinity Tigers, 40 for the Austin College Kangaroos. As the Tigers knock out the Roos here in San Antonio. Some highlights for both teams. Maggie Shipley scoring 18 points this game, followed by Addie Putnam with 10. Great game for Maggie Shipley. For the Roos, Megan O'Neill is the highlight for the team with 10 points, followed by Mariana Burt with 7. Naomi Anamekwe ended up fouling out of the game. And that is it here in San Antonio for the women's game. The men's game will start in roughly 30 minutes. I hope you stay tuned and join us for that game as well on the Tiger Network. This has been Reed Rosales, having the utmost pleasure of taking you through this game. And I will see you, hopefully, in 30 minutes here on the Tiger Network.